Hello, boys and girls. I'm really happy to be back with you this week, and I have a really good story to share with you. It's a true story about a very famous African American woman. Let's look at the title and see what this book is about. It says The Girl with a Mind for Math, the story of Raye Montague. And she looks like she's doing some scientific mathematics. You see that? She's figuring out how to do something, how to design something. Let's find out about this famous African American woman. And what does she make? Let's find out. I'm looking inside the cover and I see lots of pictures of ships. Maybe that's a clue. Let's see. It's The Girl with the Mind for Math, the story of Raye Montague. It's written by Julia Finley Mosca and illustrated by Daniel Riley. If there's something you want, but it seems out of reach, here's a story for you, a great truth it will teach. When you focus your mind, you'll succeed through and through, like one bold engineer by the name Montague. And there she is. In a state we call Arkansas, one winter day, a baby girl was welcomed, a girl they called Raye. She was as bright as a star, super smart from the start. She was headstrong, this child, and not faint of heart. Headstrong means she was kind of stubborn. That's her when she was a baby. Yes, this girl had potential. Her granddad was proud. He told her, "Work hard, you'll stand out from the crowd." Then something she'd cherish. When Raye was just 7, he took her to see her first ship. It was heaven. Look at that. Potential means that people think that you're going to be very good at something and successful, meaning that you try something and you're very good at it. Okay, potential means that you have the ability, and we all have potential. We all have special abilities. A real submarine. Her eyes opened wide. "Who made it?" she asked as they followed the guide. "Engineers," said the man, giving Raye's head a pat. "But my dear, you don't need to know all about that." At the time, the man's insult went right over her head. "No, you can't," were the words he had meant, but not said. Look at that. So she was very curious about who created and designed this ship. And just because she was a young African-American child and a girl, don't worry about it. That's why they told her that. Is that true? No, you can become anything you want to be. Engineering, thought Raye, and her life's dream began, except most people laughed when she told them her plan. "Stay strong," said her mom. "Use your brains. You'll be fine. There will always be people who pay you no mind. Just because you're a girl and because you are black, don't let them or the state of your school hold you back." So here she is telling her friends that she wants to become an engineer. They're laughing at her because she's a girl and because she's African American. That's not very nice. And her mom told her, "Stay strong. Stick to your dream. Don't listen to what people say." You see, schools in those days were what's called segregated. The black and the white students were kept separated. "What's wrong?" you exclaim. It was dismal, no fooling. And worst of all, white kids received better schooling. We talked about that last week. Segregation was supposed to be separate but equal, but it wasn't. The students that went to the white schools had newer schools and nice things, and the black schools had a lot of children and one teacher teaching everything. And she realized that. She was very smart. But Raye studied hard. She had grit. She taught herself. She was gifted in math and read books by the shelf. When the time came for college, she knew what to choose. She'd learned to build boats, but she got some bad news. Engineering's not taught to black students, they said. Her heart hit the floor. I'll take business instead. She'd learn what she could, and she'd learn the rest later. Their rules were unjust, but that school wouldn't break her. Unjust means unfair. So here she is. She studied hard, made her way into college, and when she got to the college and said, I want to be an engineer, they told her, no, you can't be an engineer because you're a girl and you're African American. So she had to take business instead. That's really not fair. Raye finished with honors. Oh boy, what a smarty. She said her farewells. There was no time to party. I'm off to a place filled with history's greats, the capital city of all 50 states. So she wanted to go to Washington, D.C. And she graduated with honors. That means she got all A's. All A's and B's. Very smart. Now, finding a job, it turned out that took time. She looked, and Raye was not one to whine. Then it must have been fate, at least that's what it seems. She was hired to type where they built submarines. So even though she graduated with a college degree in business, her first job, she was just basically like a secretary, like a typewriter. She typed on the typewriter. That was before computers. So, but she did get to go and work at a place where there were submarines. The Navy, that's right. But hold all your cheers. Ship designing was only for trained engineers. So she watched as they worked, and she learned every task, even studied computers by night in a class. So she watched, and as you can see, they're working, and she wishes that she could be part of that. She wishes that she could be an engineer. So then she learned, she took computers as night class when she got off work, still studying and learning as much as she could. Then her big break arrived. The whole staff got the flu. Raye did all of her work and the engineers too. Her boss was in shock. How? He exploded. From memory, said Raye. And with that, she got promoted. That means that she got a higher job. Life should have been swell, yet that wasn't the case. Her boss treated her poorly because of her race. That means because of the color of her skin. Many people like him tried to make her feel small. Raye just held her head high, and she outworked them all. So she remembered her mother's advice, and she did not give up. So here she is doing all of her work and their work too. And then she got a promotion to a better job, but they still did not want to accept her. What next? From the White House, there came a command. The president ordered a ship. Make it grand. And quickly, he added, well, that didn't fly. All those plans would take engineers months to supply. Here's the thing about that. When designing a boat, there are thousands of measurements that one needs to note. All those numbers take math, and that takes some time. But Raye had been working on something sublime. That means something out of this world. Fantastic. Look at her. She is so smart. Do you see that? So the government asked for a submarine to be built, and they're like, oh, we can't get it done in time. It will take months. But she's been working all along. Let's see what happens next. She took a deep breath. I can solve this, she said. I've come up with a system to do it instead. I'll draw the plans faster, she told them. Don't fret. I'll design the first ship by computer. No sweat. How long do you think that might take? What's your guess? How long do you think it would take? Would it take her a month? Maybe weeks for success? Well, it took calculations and tons of caffeine. That's like lots of coffee and tea to stay up late. But Raye finished in hours, just over 18. That's amazing. So she did this in half the time that they said that they could do it. Look at her. She's a hard worker, and she's very smart. She doesn't let anybody get in her way. Her program, it worked. All the blueprints were done. The ship was constructed. The engineers were stunned. That means they could not believe that she did all this by herself and that she was so smart. You did it, they cheered, and her boss had to say that her quick mind for math had in fact saved the day. There are her drawings. And there is the boss congratulating her for a job well done. The end? No, not quite. When Raye's ship was unveiled, only white men could go. And Raye's invite not mailed. That is horrible. Say what? You heard right. No invite, abhorrible. In fact, some might say it was downright deplorable. That means really, really horrible and bad. Unbelievable. Can't even imagine it. That's what that means. So here they are about to celebrate the beautiful ship that she created. And because of the color of her skin, and because she was a woman, they deliberately did not give her an invitation to the celebration for the ship that she created. That's very bad. And very unfair. Yet Raye kept her cool, gave her best every day, and in time all her skills were applauded. Hooray! People learned of her work. Who's this Raye? They'd demand. When they met her, they stared because they expected a man. Yes, that happened a lot. Many could not believe that a woman of color did all she'd achieved. Some even thought Raye was a maid. Sad but true. When they ordered a drink, they'd say, "Bring me one too." So they assumed that, number one, she was a man because her name was Raye, but it was Raye. And when they saw her because she was of color, they started asking her to get them coffee and serve them. Was that right? No. They didn't know that she was the genius behind the person that created that ship. All her humor and wit served her well through the years as she battled the hard times with laughs and not tears. And that boss in the Navy who'd been so unkind made Raye the first woman to lead ship design. More honors would follow. Her fame picked up steam. And finally, at last, she accomplished her dream. That title she'd worked for, an engineer, score. Now the world knows her feats and she is hidden no more. It says Raye Montague, engineer. Look at that. All that hard work paid off. She didn't let it frustrate her. She didn't give up. She didn't get angry. She used humor, which is being funny, and wit is her intelligence, being smart. And she ignored all that negative stuff. And she finally reached her dream to become an engineer. So the lesson to all is don't ever give in. Take a chance. Rock the boat. If it sinks, you can swim. When a storm comes your way, hold your course and don't stress. Never quit. And like Raye, propel straight to success. Propel means to go quickly. So that's where it ends. The story ends there. And I want you to look carefully at this picture. Can you see that lady in the picture? That's the real Raye Montague. That's her in real life. And she wrote a letter to you. Let's see what it says. It says, "Dear reader, if you have a dream like I did, study hard and stay focused. Always remember that just because someone says you can't, that doesn't have to stop you. You might have to go in a different direction, and it might take you a little longer, but you can achieve your dreams. Love, Raye Montague." And that's how the story ends. I hope you enjoyed that story, that true story about a famous African-American woman that created a Navy ship. I'll see you again next time. Bye.